Yeah, I think you just take one day at a time and remember that you have each other, and that's all you need in the end. So, if you look after one another in your family, you'll be fine.
I'm Dr. CHAMONIX Blanche, ex-corporate and academical turned CEO and board member of several companies and mother of 4 little extraordinary kids. But it wasn't that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the know-how, and the time to focus on designing and really going after the life that I so wanted to live. A life of freedom, of fairness, and of being fair dinkum to who I really was and what I wanted to get out of this fleeting time that we have on Mother Earth. Fast forward to many lessons learned and moving halfway around the world to the most amazing country, you'll see the life that I now live. One that gives me more safety and freedom than I ever thought would be possible, and that really only existed as a daydream while I was living in South Africa. I created CHAMONIX TV to give you true spot advice on how you can also live a life in this amazing country, and so that you can see how another couple like us now live in Australia with 4 little kids here in Down Under. And I'll be providing you with step-by-step strategies so that you can make your Aussie dream a reality too. If you're a keen future Aussie who's looking to create a life that excites you and offers you safety, freedom, and opportunity, you have come to the right place, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Before we get on with the episode, I just wanted to quickly pop in here and tell you about an incredibly interesting webinar that we've got coming up. It's called The 3 Most Costly Mistakes That Migrants Make and What You Can Do About It. Now, obviously the 3 most costly mistakes that migrants make, but also I'll be sharing with you what the biggest migration trends have been in the last 12 months that we've seen coming through now that COVID is sort of getting into a more normal kind of state in the world, and how to know if you are ready to do the visa process yourself, as well as the importance of having a holistic, strategic migration plan when trying to come over to Australia. So if you want to grab the spot, head over to chamonixtv.com.au/register and then enter your name so that you can make sure you can join us on the webinar. All right, let's jump into the episode.
Hi, Mandie. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Adelaide today. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. You're welcome, and thanks for having me.
It is my absolute pleasure. I cannot wait to hear your story because you have been here for a few months. Please tell us, when did you arrive in sunny Adelaide?
So we arrived in November last year, in 2021, and it was just before the Omicron virus hit the world. So it was quite daunting, but it was great because we came in that period, that window where everything had opened up in Australia and we made it in. So it was nerve-wracking, but it was great that we made it. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Did you have to wait a long time to get your flights?
So our journey actually started in the beginning of 2020, before the whole COVID thing started. And we had a lot of delays on our visas, on our passports, documentation, birth certificates, everything. And that took, I think, probably about 18 months to sort that out. And then we had to book our flights. And we started booking our flights, I think, in July, and we booked it for November. So it wasn't too long, but it was still nerve-wracking because we had to resign our jobs. We had to cancel, our accommodation and everything, and wait for the flights. So it was nerve-wracking until we got onto the actual plane and we were ready to go. That nerves and that fear or anticipation of something could go wrong was constantly there. So the relief when you got onto the plane was tremendous.
Even though you knew you were going to sit in a hotel room for 2 weeks.
Yes, well, I don't know. A lot of people were complaining about it, but in my humble and honest opinion, it was actually just what I needed personally. and I've got 3 kids and a husband, and we actually managed to bond really nicely as a family. We had an amazing time, and I mean, who travels to a country and gets to spend 2 weeks in a 4-star hotel with your food being delivered to your door? And you felt a bit cooped up. I think the last couple of days of quarantine, we started feeling really like we wanted to get out. But the majority of the time, it was actually really nice. And the kids loved it because they got to play Minecraft every day, and the PlayStation, and watch movies, and just, yeah, chill out. Yeah, so it wasn't a bad experience for us as a family.
So tell us, how old are your children?
I've got 3 kids. I've got a teenager, all 3 of them daughters. So I've got a teenager that's 15, and then a 9-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old daughter. Yeah, so I've got one in almost every age gap.
Yeah, that's a nice spread.
Yeah.
Did they all play together Minecraft, or did you guys also chip in with your part of playing Minecraft?
They play together. My husband plays Minecraft. I'm not really a gamer, so for me it was nice. I got to get a break. and you know, mom's always the one that has to, you know, Mom, I'm hungry, Mom, I'm thirsty, Mom this, Mom that. So it was a nice break for me. Yeah, it felt like a holiday for me.
Oh, good. Okay, so what did you guys come over as? Like, what skill set did you apply for?
So my husband's an engineer, and he got transferred with the same company that he worked for in South Africa, and he got nominated on a 482 short skill visa, which actually, in hindsight, I see that it went through quite quickly. But because of the delays for COVID, and there were a couple of regulations that the government had instituted, can't think of the word now, thinking in Afrikaans still. So they initiated a couple of regulations that companies had to adhere to before they could employ someone from another country. And we had to wait for all that to fall into place. And then also with COVID, during all the lockdown sessions in South Africa, Home Affairs didn't process a lot of the documentation that we wanted in certain lockdown sectors, you know. So under level 3, they didn't do the printout of birth certificates or something like that. I can't remember everything, but it basically caused a lot of delays for us. And yeah, once everything got settled, it happened so quickly. It felt to me like it literally happened in like a week. Everything happened for us. Yeah.
Wow. So when did you start considering coming to Australia, or did you not think about it, that your husband's workplace just suggested it to him randomly?
No, well, in 2019, December 2019, my company closed down in Cape Town. And then my husband said to me, listen, you know, why don't we consider going to Australia? And I'd always said no, because I didn't want to go. And my excuse was my career. And yeah, and then when that ended, I didn't really have that valid excuse anymore. So he said to me, let's just do it. We do it for the kids. Our oldest is going to leave school in the next few years. And where are we going to send her? You know, he was a bit concerned about her future and what she was going to do with her life, and is she going to be safe? And you know, we as parents have to make sure that, you know, we give her the foundation so that she can achieve anything that she wants to. And he felt really strongly that it would be a good move for us to make for their future. So I initially said, yeah, sure, apply for the job, because he had to apply for the job. And I honestly did not expect him to get the job. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought, whatever, do it and let's see. And then he applied for the job, got the job, and yeah, and then it was like a roller coaster ride. It all just started happening. And for me, the 2-year delay was actually a blessing in disguise, because it helped me to deal with the whole thought of moving to a different country. And with COVID happening, being far away from your family and being far away from everyone, that was, it was quite a daunting thought for me. So I had a chance to deal with it and to really consider what it would mean for us as a family, and get into a good mind space, if that makes sense. And so when we came, I felt ready for it. The kids were excited, and it was almost like things that fallen into place, and the stars had aligned, the moon's ready, everything is perfect, and now we can go. So and since then we've just been so blessed. Everything has been really amazing so far.
That is so great to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's your career? You mentioned that your company closed down.
Yes, so I am more like a sales engineer or a pre-sales specialist, and I did actually start another job during the time that we were waiting in South Africa. But I honestly, until the day our visa got approved, I did not think it was going to happen. I honestly, up to that point, I thought, well, things are going wrong. The world is going crazy. Everything is falling apart, and we are probably going to stay here. And I'll just humor my husband, but it's not going to happen. So when the visa got approved, I had a day of shock, but as I said, things happened in the right time, so that was great. And I worked for a great company, even though I wasn't there for very long. It was actually really nice for me to just get back into working again, because my whole life I'd been a career girl, and then for the last 2 years I was at home, and it was quite a mindset change for me. But it was a good preparation for coming to Australia, I think.
So you're not working at the moment?
I'm not working at the moment. I am considering different options, but we decided that in order for us to make sure that our girls settle in and that the family is emotionally fine, I would hold off on starting a career or starting working in Australia, just to make sure that we settled in. And I'm quite good with making friends and making new connections. So for me, it's helped because I've made a lot of new friends at school, and I don't have that constant pressure of having to be somewhere and having to, do work and have other requirements on me. So it's helped a lot to have the flexibility and be able to cater for school runs and do everything that's needed.
Yeah. Yes, it does definitely help if there's somebody because you don't have that support network that you would have had back in South Africa. You don't have Oma or Opa or whoever else around.
Exactly.
So you need to be doing that. You're going to fulfill all the roles for a while until you have properly found your feet. You said Cape Town, so you guys are from Cape Town?
Yes.
Have you grown up there and studied there all your life?
I did not grow up in Cape Town. I actually grew up in Kempton Park, and then I moved to Cape Town in 2014, I think. My kids and my husband's from Cape Town. But my dream was always to live in Cape Town. So in the beginning, when he said, listen, let's move to Australia, I said to him, my dream has been to live in Cape Town, and you are asking me to give up on my dream and move to Australia, to a different country. And in my mind, I'd always thought that I would be the one looking after my parents. I always had that thought of, I would, when they get old and they need someone to look after, I would be the one to do that. And there's nothing wrong with my brother and my sister. They I think they would also, but in my mind, I always had the idea I would look after them. So I had to deal with a lot of guilt feelings about, am I deserting them and I'm taking the kids away from them, and who's going to look after them if I'm not there? So that
are they in Kempton Park, or where are they?
They live in Hartbeespoort. So they're still fairly young, and they travel all across the country. So they don't really need looking after right now. But I think, in the future, you have that nagging thought, who's going to look after them, who's going to make sure that they're fine. And
well, if they're still quite young, why don't they come to Australia?
They don't want to, but who knows? We keep on telling them that we'd happily, pay for them to come across to come and visit. But with the whole COVID thing, I think everyone is scared to travel at the moment. It's just with uncertainty and not knowing what's going to happen. It makes it a bit difficult, but it's still early days, and we'll see what happens. Yeah.
And are your girls Afrikaans or English speaking?
They're English speaking. I always had the idea that I'd probably move outside of South Africa, and my husband also. So we never really had it planned, but it was like an unspoken sort of agreement that we had. And we put them in an English school. We raised them English and Afrikaans, so they understand Afrikaans quite well. And someone asked my daughter one day, do you understand Afrikaans? And she said yes, because if my mom's angry, she can't speak English. so they sort of learned under pressure to understand Afrikaans and speak Afrikaans.
Well, now they don't really need it, but they'll find that it's very handy to have it now.
Well, it's so funny when you walk around in Australia and you hear someone speaking Afrikaans, you immediately feel drawn to that person to go and ask them, I heard you speaking Afrikaans.
Yeah. So where are you from, and how long have you been here for? And I know.
Yes.
Okay, so your children, all three daughters, yes?
Yes.
How have they settled into the school? So they came from Cape Town school, assuming public school?
Yes,
and what schools are they now?
Yes, they were all three in public schools, and the one was in pre-primary, the other one in primary school, and the other one in high school last year. So it was quite a hectic year for us. And in searching for schools, I did quite a bit of research in the background on what kind of schools to look at. And in the end, we decided to put them in a private school. And the reason for that was because we are on a temporary visa, we basically would end up paying almost the same for a public school as what we would for this private school. So it was very similar, the monthly installments. And and for us, it's, we were a Christian family. So for us, it was very important what kind of values they've been taught in school. And it must be similar to what we believe in our home. So that was one of the major reasons why we decided on this specific school. And so far, we've been so happy. My oldest daughter, the teenage daughter, she's quite into art, and she was looking for a school that would help her to further her career one day within the art landscape. And she found a school that specializes in art, fashion design, digital design, things that she never would have had the opportunity to study in South Africa. So we're quite happy, and she's very happy. She's settling in so well.
Oh, sweet. That is great to hear. And the other two, are they also happy?
Yes. So they're all in the same school. It's got a primary and a secondary unit, and they're loving it. The teachers are amazing. The classes are not too big. It warms my heart to think how happy my children are at the moment. I think the youngest one struggled a little bit because she went from pre-primary to primary school. So starting year 1 year in Australia, and I think year 1 they're a little bit more advanced than what they are grade 1 in South Africa. So the learning curve was quite steep for her the last couple of weeks, where she had to learn quite a few things that she was only going to learn in grade 1 in South Africa. So it's been a bit of a challenge, but she stepped up, and I'm quite proud of her for what she's accomplished so far.
Yeah, it's great. Children are very resilient, and they can actually surprise us a lot if we would let them. Often our fear is, it just boils over to our kids, and then they go, if we just believe them more, trust more in their abilities, they can fly so far.
Absolutely.
But isn't it interesting how I don't know whether you had the same experience before you moved here, but how South Africans tend to think that the Australian schooling system is so lagging behind the South African system. And often I hear it's the other way around.
Yeah. I haven't heard that yet, but I think because I wasn't the one in our family that was very excited about coming to Australia, and it's nothing personal. It's just I felt like we had the perfect life in Cape Town, and I had nothing to complain about. I really enjoyed life. So I didn't really speak to a lot of people wanting to immigrate until I started joining the Facebook groups to do a bit more research on things that was needed. And that was very helpful. So for me, a couple of things that was incredibly helpful was joining some of the Facebook groups and the WhatsApp groups, and reading what questions people were asking and what answers they had. That was really so helpful. It helped me to cover things that I didn't even think of beforehand. There's a lot of things that you need to consider when you're immigrating, and it's just so overwhelming.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Until you actually, as you say, start digging and finding things and reading up and asking, and you're like, oh, I didn't even think about this thing, and what about that? So yeah, absolutely. So we have a group, I Want to Migrate to Australia, Facebook group. And that's exactly what we do, is we share this kind of information in there, and people ask questions, and the number of times that I see people say, oh, I wasn't even aware of, or I didn't think about this aspect, or what, so that's, you need to try and inform yourself as much as possible, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So
yes, absolutely. I mean, simple things like getting a police clearance now, for women, it's just more complicated, because you usually have more than one surname. You've got your maiden surname and then your married surname. And if you were married before, then you have more than one married surname. And how complicated it was just to get that sorted out. And eventually how doing research and asking around, I came to the point where I actually managed to get it right. But it took months to get that sorted out. And eventually I think it was 5 days after I managed to speak to a police captain, and he then sorted it out for me. And he asked me, well, I'm not sure how to put your surnames onto the police clearance, because we only have a space for a married surname and a maiden surname. And I said to him, well, can't you just separate it with commas on the married surname? And he said, oh, I didn't think of that. So I said, yes, please, if you can just separate you can put all the surnames just separated with commas. And he said, yes, I can do that. And 5 days later, I had my police clearance. But it took months to get to that point.
Amazing. Well, it was good that it took months, because you actually needed that time.
Yes.
See, all things happen in the right time. We often want it to happen quicker, but there's a bigger hand up there that's organizing the things downstairs. Talking about which, have you guys found a church yet in Adelaide that you call home?
Yes, we have. So, I mean, the one thing I have to say, there's one person that I have to thank, because she has been absolutely phenomenal. And it's one of the ladies that I met on the Facebook group. I don't know if I can name names, but
if she's happy with it.
Yeah, so Carol has been amazing. She so the story started where it was going to be my husband's birthday the second day after we arrived, and we were going to be in quarantine. And I really wanted to do something special for the family and for him, on his birthday. And I asked on the group, does anyone know where I can get cake? Because we don't have any funds in Australia. Well, we have funds in the bank in Australia, but it was all locked. We didn't have access to online shopping or anything like that. And we had cash, but we couldn't go to the shop to go and buy anything. So this lady commented, and she said she can bring us a cake. And I actually, in all honesty, I mean, I think people are great, but sometimes people say they will do something, and then you say, like, yeah, okay, fine. But she actually brought the cake, and she went one step further. She brought games for our family. Her and her husband brought, board games for us. she bought us SIM cards for our phones so that we could, switch over to the Australian network. She arranged for biltong to be delivered through Henk. I don't know if you know about Henk Kruger in Adelaide, the best biltong, and he delivered biltong and dribbles for us at the hotel. And we really were so spoiled. It was just such an amazing introduction into Adelaide and the South African people living in the city. And and she has introduced us to a church, and we went to the church, and the church people were amazing. And they're all Australian, but everyone has just been so phenomenal. It really feels like I need to pinch myself sometimes, because I have absolutely nothing to complain about. I think the only thing I can complain about is sometimes I have moods that makes me down, thinking about my parents and, the things that makes me feel a little bit sad about my current situation. But other than that, I have absolutely nothing to feel that, things are not perfect. So, yeah. Yeah, so we found an amazing.
That is good. Yeah. Is it a Baptist church, or what kind of denomination is it?
It's C3. I think it is a Baptist.
C3.
Yeah. So my teenage daughter has been going to the youth. The kids are loving the kids' church. We are enjoying it. We love going on a Sunday. So yeah, it's phenomenal. I really am so happy with how life is turning out at the moment for us.
And you think you'll still be looking for a job in the future? And would it be the same kind of industry that you were working in?
Yes, I do miss working. I like being at home, and I like the freedom of being at home, but I miss being busy. So I don't know. I'll definitely. I have started putting up my feelers, but I think unfortunately living in Adelaide, which Adelaide is a wonderful city. Don't get me wrong; it's so beautiful, and we didn't know what to expect before we came here, but the similarities to Cape Town is actually staggering. It's so similar to Cape Town, but it is like Cape Town in the sense of there's no head office for most companies in Adelaide. So with being a sales engineer, you probably are not going to find any of the IT companies that I would traditionally work for in Adelaide. But I believe what will be. So I'm happy to wait and see what happens. Yes.
What did you study?
I studied BCom marketing management. But purely because I worked in the IT industry, and I worked with software solutions that is targeted towards the marketing environment. So marketing communications and managing and really analytics around that. So I'm a bit of a nerd. I like analytics and statistics and things like that.
Well, you should be able to do an online job then.
Yes, I'm sure I can. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of social interactions that you can monitor, and it really is. It's not something that I'm not familiar with. I'm quite familiar with that environment. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eyes and ears open at the moment. Yes.
How exciting! And your daughters, are they involved in any like extracurricular activities yet?
Yes, they are. So my two oldest daughters love gymnastics, and they joined a gymnastics club. And then the younger one, she's not really into gymnastics, so she started up with ballet, and she's loving it. So yeah, we're quite happy. Yes.
So you're a busy family.
Yes, we are quite busy.
Mom's taxi.
Yes, yeah. Gymnastics is quite a commitment. So yes, it does.
Yes, probably twice a week practice, and then do they have competitions every Saturday or something like that, or not?
Well, they only started on the recreational stream at the moment, but which I'm happy for, because I think it helps them to settle in and make friends. But yeah, if they do move into the competing teams, then they definitely will have a lot more competitions and things to consider. Yeah.
Do you have any advice to somebody who's considering coming over? What would, like, if you had to do something over again, what would you change? Like, if you had to do the process over again, what would you change, and what advice do you have for somebody else considering coming?
I think the one main thing, but I think every person's situation is different. But the one main thing I would change is shipping content. So I really wanted to ship a couple of things, just just to help us to settle in. But our shipping container hasn't even left Cape Town yet. Still, so many months later. Yes, but it's
why?
Well, it's due to a shortage of shipping containers and
wow.
delays with the COVID virus and a lot of ports being closed and so on. So there's many different factors. But I honestly, I would ship. I'd be less worried about that. And luckily, we didn't ship a major big container, and we weren't expecting to get any furniture. So we expected to buy furniture here and buy all the necessities here, and that helped a lot. But if you're expecting things to fall into place, especially now with how uncertain things are, I would say it's a risk to do that, and the financial obligation of that, you probably can plan differently. But it does feel overwhelming. Before you leave, you feel like, how do you fit your whole life into these suitcases? It's it's really hard because you've accumulated a lot of things, and you have so much that you need to take, and you feel like you're going to need everything. My advice is that you don't. You'll actually be fine. And
what should you definitely pack, in your opinion, in your suitcase, and what should you not pack? What would you say? Obviously clothes and underwear, but
so your clothes and your underwear, but obviously your photos, I think, is important if you can. Maybe I stressed a lot about what medication and documentation and files, and for me it's very silly, but for me, one of my biggest items that I stressed about was my makeup. How am I going to pack all my makeup? And then I ended up giving away so much, and you actually need a lot less than what you expect, and it was quite freeing for me to realize that materialistically you need a lot less, and as long as you have yourself and you have your family, will be fine. It's more important to worry about how you all are coping with the difficult situations, and it's more important to build up your strength and your courage, and make sure that your children are okay and can cope with the unexpected things. Because if you're okay, if you're worried about all the other things, then you can't really give attention to the things that really matter, and your family are the most important ones that matter. So if you are there for each other and you can support each other and understand that everyone goes through difficult emotions and situations, and you're just there for one another, then you actually don't need that much otherwise. That's probably
very
my biggest
true.
advice. Yeah.
Yes. But while you have all those things around you, you're like, I can't lose all of this. Where do I stop? Where do I start? I know it's a very daunting feeling. And now you feel so light, and you feel like you can just easily jump on the plane and go anywhere else, and you'll be okay.
Exactly. And you know what? I think for me it was quite tough giving away things. Just you have to sell it and you have to give it away. But eventually we just got so tired of having to sell things. We just said, you know what? We just want to bless people with things. So if you want it, you can have it, and hopefully it will mean more to you. Because if you sell something, this is the one thing I found. So if you take a piece of furniture and to you it has tremendous value, how much you spent on it. Now you have to sell it, and something that cost you 10,000 Rand, you can only sell for 500 Rand. And if you sell it for 500 Rand, it's lost value in your mind, and it's lost value in the person buying it's mind. But if you give it away, it's almost like it doesn't lose value, because it's still valuable. I don't know if it makes sense.
Because you didn't attach a new tag to it.
Exactly.
So it still has the old tag on it.
Yes, exactly. And it actually feels really good to bless people with things. And for me, that in the end was quite freeing, so you miss some of the things that you give away, but eventually you feel lighter and you feel like you've gotten rid of a lot of baggage and you can just move on. You can start over, and it might take time, and you convert from rand to dollars for a very long time, and it's quite daunting because the conversion rate is it's quite a lot, but but it's you actually learn that you don't need as much as what you thought you would. Yes.
What were the first things that you guys bought when you got here, other than the cake that the Good Samaritan Carol brought for you?
So we bought furniture, of which some furniture has still not arrived because there's a delay in shipping on containers. But what we found, the difference here was that some of the furniture shops were actually willing to loan us some furniture while we're waiting for our furniture. So that was quite nice. So we're still sitting with a lone TV cabinet and a lone dining room table and chairs until our furniture arrives. And I mean, I'm not beyond going to take things from other people, but I'm not really the kind of person that will go and say, please, can I get your dining room table and can you give me a fridge? I don't know, like I'll ask if I really need to, but I'd rather not have
go
to
without it.
Yes. So maybe I'm a bit proud in that sense. So but I mean, that's South Africans are proud and we're strong and we we flexible and we learn to deal with things and we've got a plan A, plan B, plan C, and we're okay.
So what do you still have outstanding that you feel like, I just want to get this one extra thing still that's going to make me feel like I'm settled?
So there's two things. The one is I've got one of those little bucket hang seats, those love seats, and you can it's just a wegstoeltjie,
Yes.
you can swing on it, and I really miss that because I used to read my book on that. So I really miss that. And then I really miss my guitar. I didn't want to put my guitar in the container. I wanted to take it on the plane, but with 5 people in our household and each person gets 2 bags, my husband was just feeling completely overwhelmed and he said we cannot take a guitar also. So so my guitar is on the shipping container and I'm a little bit nervous if it's going to be I don't know, look like a banana when I get it. But oh well.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Yes, hopefully not.
Yes.
Yeah, we shipped back in the day, my mum's piano over. Now there was nothing special to it.
Yes.
And it made it over okay. It's
Really?
still nothing special to it other than it's special to me because it's got
Yes.
sentimental value. And
Yes.
I still have my mum's piano, although nobody plays it except from like ding ding ding, the kids going and just
Yes.
but I have it. And that's all that matters to me. It makes me feel good and I see it and I'm like, oh, that's the piano I learned to playing piano when I was like 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's as you said, sentimental value is different, or any value, quite frankly, in your view. It's in the eye of the beholder.
Yes.
And ultimately, it doesn't matter what somebody else thinks it means. It's what it feels like, what's right for you.
Exactly. Yeah, every person's journey is different, and I mean, for me, what has worked for me might not work for someone else. But yeah, I mean, I think you just take one day at a time and remember that you have each other, and that's all you need in the end. So if you look after one another and your family, you'll be fine. And yeah, that's probably the most important thing.
So welcome to Australia once again. I know it's been 4 months, but yeah, it's amazing that you guys made it over after your long wait, but the time was right for you in the end to come.
Yes.
And I really hope that your parents can come and visit because they might just like it here.
I think so. We actually bought a caravan, especially so that our family can go away for weekends, but also when they come, we know that they would want to travel around and get to know the environment and the scenery. So we told them, their quarantine facilities is ready if they need to, and they've got their home away from home. But let's see what's happening.
Yeah, fingers crossed. They will love
Yeah.
traveling around Australia. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks, Mandie, again, and we'll talk soon. Hopefully, in a couple of years' time, we'll find out how you guys have settled in even further.
Great. Thank you so much for contacting me, and
it's my pleasure. All right. Take care. See
you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you had fun, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and then it'll make sure that you never miss a thing. I'll see you same time and same place next week. Bye for now.